Oh my God. Even though we just finished the podcast, I need to tell you what I just did, and then we'll circle back to the podcast because it all makes sense. I just finished one of my new Allana Pratt method coaches, Carla, asked if she could practice on me, and it was the theater of redemption. That is not my signature. I'd say little u is my signature process, but my God, it's the most politically incorrect, effective process that I have. And I solo process, like I process myself a lot, pretty much every day, about something. But there's something different when somebody holds space for you. You can go deeper. Like they're the banks of the river, and you can be the river and just let her friggin' rip. And oh my God, I had more rage, fury, pent up inside me that I knew. And I let her rip. And by the end of the process, I'm so proud that I developed. It fucking works. On the other side of it, I had total forgiveness of self, total compassion for self, total gratitude for these people who done me wrong and betrayed me like you wouldn't believe. And I'm free. I've taken all my power back. I put them on my great gratitude board. I have this big piece of paper by the fridge where every single morning I write something I'm grateful for. Well, their names would not be on it. There was 3 of them. I am grateful for all of them. I am better because of all of them. And so when you think back to the interview with B and Azrya, that's what they talk about. They are better because of their death portals. They are better because of the process that they take their clients through with their retreats. The only way through is through people. And so being willing to lean into our shadows, being willing to integrate those emotions like anger that is so politically incorrect. But if we can do that, we can turn our anger into fierce love. If we keep it as anger with a closed heart, we're assholes to other people and we're assholes to ourselves. But when we can go through phenomenal processes like my Theater of Redemption, and I'm sure their processes are amazing. I haven't been to any of their retreats, but I can just feel that they're the real thing. When we actually integrate these incredible shadows into our superpowers, from anger to fierce love, we are light. We are light. We are light. Oh my God, there's a bird that just flew right above me. How cute is that? We are light. We become the light that we were designed to be. Yep, the only way through is through. So definitely get B and Azria's book, beQoming with a Q. What a cool branding name, right? And be sure you follow them. Whatever resonates with you, go all the way. They seem so super cool. I cannot wait till the next time I'm in Los Angeles and I'm going to look them up. I didn't even ask where they live. I wonder, have a sense of where they might live. And then I also encourage you to go to our site, allanapratt.com, and inquire into coaching if you have got some anger that won't integrate and it's making you depressed, or it's making you say things to the kids, to your lover, to your friends that you regret because it hasn't been integrated. And when you get triggered, comes out and you bite somebody's head off. You can integrate this in a way that's not only makes it go away. No. It's that it makes you better. You can get into a place of gratitude. You can get into a place of empowerment. You can truly become your best self, who you are here designed to be. This is what we do around here. Become the one to awaken your best self. Friggin' love you. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. We're now on season 11, Soul Medicine. And what we're talking about today is anxiety and how fear can really paralyze intimacy. And so we have with us this delicious couple who apparently were up till 2 a.m., but they're here bright and cheerful and bushy-tailed, Azria and B, Bequer, who are co-founding stewards of beQoming. We like to say become the one around here, and they say it beQoming with a Q, an ecosystem designed to empower people to unlock who they were designed to be through facilitating transformational retreats and processes, curating community, and sharing inspirational media. And their mission is to unite and activate an ecosystem of purpose-driven pioneers in service to creating, get this, ROI, the ripple of impact. So let me tell you a bit more about them and their book, and then we'll get away to the races here. So their book, also called Becoming, Devotion to the Process of Becoming Who You Are Designed to Be by Radically Embracing Your Greatest Challenges as Curriculum and Savoring the Full Spectrum of Life. I fucking love that. So with Benjamin, a no-nonsense businessman, and Azrya, a free-spirited artist, fell madly in love. I cannot wait to ask about how, where, when, all the details. They birth a vision for a committed partnership capable of elevating humanity. But in order to become the heart-centered impact leaders they aspire to be, they must face off with the deepest unconscious fears threatening their mission and union. You understand now why I've invited them about anxiety and the fear and what it blocks intimacy? I know they're going to be perfect. A unique hybrid of personal development, spiritual memoir, and erotic nonfiction. Becoming is an intimate and uncensored exploration of psychedelics, awesome, sex, awesome, power, awesome, and purpose, awesome. Join Azria and Benjamin as they navigate the light and shadow sides of their own becoming and deliver potent wisdom and tangible strategies for your own activation. Warning: this book may inspire you to face off with your own darkest subconscious shadows. Perfect. Claim your truest truth and embody the greatest you that you're here to share with the world. And the side effects may include becoming radically unfuckwithable. Okay. Mic drop. We're done. Like, my God, thank you for existing. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for living so fully. And thank you for being here. So,
we need to take you everywhere with us so you can introduce us to people. That was the best introduction I think I've ever had.
Oh, well, thank you. I really do get into this. I'm super stoked to be doing this show for 11 years, having these incredibly intimate conversations that inspire people. So thank you. I want to know how you met, like where you're from and where you live, like all those kind of like details first.
Sure. It kind of in some ways feels like we met lifetimes ago. And then in some ways, very recently. But, we met at an interesting time in our journeys where I don't think we could have met a moment earlier or a moment later. It was just like divine timing. But
it was April 2019, and we are in April 2023 right now. So we're almost at exactly our 4-year anniversary.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy anniversary. Yeah.
So what was going on in your life where 4 years ago was the perfect moment?
I spent most of my life as a serial entrepreneur and chasing, the American dream, the capitalist dream, and more, bigger, better. And I went through a rock bottom moment in 2018 that led me to really examine the way I was living my life and look in the mirror and not like what I saw. And I had just committed to making some radical changes in my life. And then I met Azrya, and within 2 weeks of meeting each other, we just realized that our visions colliding could be so powerful. And within 2 weeks of meeting each other, we were planning our entire lives together. We knew we needed land. We knew we were going to build a retreat center. We knew we were going to write a book together. It was like we never went on a first date. She just kind of came over and never left.
You're welcome.
Oh my God, this is beautiful. This is so just logistically online dating, met through friends, totally random.
No, we were introduced by a mutual friend. And it's interesting how, we have this term, who you're designed to be. You read it a couple of times in the introduction. And I think that there's one of our foundational sort of core beliefs is that there's a greater design to all of life. A design that is more complex, more intricate, more divine than a lot of times our human perspective can even grasp. And so it feels like even the person that introduced us was serendipitously actually the same person who organized my very first ayahuasca ceremony back in 2015, who at the time I didn't know, and never really had that deep of a relationship with until years later. And then happened to be the one who said, come over, I'm staying at this guy's house. He's kind of new in this world of conscious community. He's looking for purpose. He's been an investor. She knew I was very actively seeking like a business partnership.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I think this guy might be an interesting person for you to meet. So I went really with the intention of pitching my vision to someone who could potentially help me make it happen. I was not expecting a whole package deal with the whole shebang, and the Cuban husband and the sexual awakening and everything that got wrapped up in it. But yeah, I knocked on his door, and he quite literally came down and opened the door, and we had this moment on the doorstep, and the rest is truly history. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that is so, thank you. That is so inspiring. I'm 53 and single, and I believe what you have is possible for me. So just that you being here just makes me go, keep going, keep being who we are. I'm reminded, it was about 5 years ago, right before Barbara Marx Hubbard died. And she was on a radio show, and I was pulled to call. And this is when she was working with Dr. Mark Gaffney, and they were coming up with the role mate, whole mate, soulmate, or soulmate, whole mate. And I had said to Barbara, I can have oneness. I mean, I started ayahuasca when I was 2003, I think was my first journey. And I know who I am. I know what I'm made of. I can connect with me, source. But fuck if I can meet my partner, like what's going on? And she said, there's this evolution in Homo sapiens to Homo amor, where we literally are whole mates, where we awaken dormant evolutionary qualities within one another. She goes, that's what you need to be looking for, not another soulmate to get married and divorce, but you need to be looking for your whole mate. Were each of you conscious of that concept when you met each other? Do you believe that's happening within your relationship?
Yeah, I don't think we were familiar with the terminology used, but certainly that felt very aligned. I would say that in some ways, at least for me, well, I guess for both of us, meeting each other allowed us to live our purpose in a way that we couldn't be living it individually. And so we amplified each other in a way that wouldn't have been possible had we stayed, single, I don't think.
Yeah, we certainly unlocked evolutionary upgrades for each other, very swift ones, very intense ones, very quantum ones. And we've been on a really very accelerated and rapid trajectory of growth and evolution ever since, because we really came together and felt like this, we collided into each other. And then from the impact of that connection, so many things were birthed. And now we have all these babies that we made with our organization, with our book, with, our mission, ultimately, the programs we facilitate and the retreat center we're building. And like, we have all these babies that we made in this passionate frenzy of connection. And now we're like, oh my God, we have to take care of them all and feed them all and bathe and clothe them all. And they need like constant 24-hour attention. Like, there's definitely moments where we're like, babe, what would it look like to run away? Want to run away together? But it's all beautiful. We absolutely love everything we're doing. And you had asked a question about where we were from. So Benjamin's from Southern California, born and raised, and I was born in New York, but I grew up in Germany, and I've been in LA for a long time now, since 2008. So yeah, wow. California is home for me as well at this point.
Got it.
Not for long.
Not for long.
Where's the retreat center?
Mexico. And it looks like we'll probably be residents of Mexico next year. So that'll be a big shift for us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I spent 20 years in LA. That's where I raised my son. I'm from Canada originally. Lived in Japan, lived in New York. I went to Columbia and then moved to LA and had my boy. And now I live in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
15 acres and horses and deer and mountains and things. So
amazing.
That's where I am now. Yeah, beautiful. So you spoke of ayahuasca, you spoke of incredible sexual awakening. I'm so curious about how medicine and sacred sexuality has ignited more of your own purpose within yourself and within each other, to the degree you're willing to share. It's a place where I'm waiting to have that rapture in my own life when I meet my divine partner. So a little bit, I just want to just be a voyeur. How fucking hot it is, but also to be on medicine with someone who utilizes it with such reverence in partnership has got to be extraordinary. So share what you will.
I think medicine certainly has been a powerful tool, and
Plant medicine.
plant medicine specifically, ayahuasca specifically, and such a resource for us, especially early in our relationship. And one of the beautiful things about our relationship, and one of the reasons we've been able to grow and build at such a quantum speed, is because when conflict comes up and when challenges come up, we're always looking for the lesson in it. Where's the gift wrapped in thorns, kind of thing. And plant medicine's been a really powerful tool in that, especially early in our relationship, where something would come up, one of us would be triggered, or something would happen, and we were sitting in ceremony quite frequently, and I specifically was. And so every time these guards would come up, my heart would open, and I would just see the truth behind all the layers and shrouding of defense mechanisms and fears, and it would just crumble those, and then I would just come from an open-hearted place. And so it's really been a powerful tool on our journey. And also, I think to be in relationship is an internal job largely, and so it's really allowed us the space to do our work and to see what we're bringing to the relationship that's holding us back or in the way. And so it's been remarkably powerful for us in our relationship. We really don't fight ever, because we look at conflict as a gift, and we don't get defensive. We show up to conflict with real curiosity, and I think that just showing up to conflict with curiosity just changes the whole dynamic.
Absolutely. And Azria, how about you?
Yeah, I mean,
How about you?
How about me? Yeah, I mean, I think to me, the whole process of going into an altered state of consciousness or an expanded state of awareness is really about surrendering and getting out of your logical mind, getting out of the need to control. And I would say that those are the exact same prerequisites that are needed for orgasmic sexual bliss as well. So the psychedelic journey and having, like, touching the divine through sexuality, sacred sexuality, I think they're actually very connected, because both require that willingness to open, that willingness to surrender control, that willingness to let go into sensation completely and not need to steer the ship, but let something greater than you steer the ship.
Oh, beautifully. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's a very natural connection there. And for me, my journey was, my spirituality before meeting Benjamin in a lot of ways was very kind of up and out, in the sense that it was about transcending the physical realm, going into the spiritual realms, and having really profound experiences of kind of cosmic lovemaking there, right? Like an intimacy and a connection with the divine. Mark Gaffney talks about this. But then the challenge that I experienced was kind of coming back down and in to my physical body, into my, my third dimensional reality, and not feeling that same level of connection, and missing a level of safety really within the sensations of my own physical body. And so it was something that I had been working on over the course of my late 20s, kind of like really starting to understand that was where my growth edge was. And it was really easy for me to leave my body and go into other realms, but to actually be in it was like where the real heavy lifting was. And so in my previous relationship, which was almost a decade long, we started a path of sexual healing together. And that path ultimately, I think, actually led to our relationship ending in a beautiful way. But there was a conscious uncoupling, kind of a setting each other free. We had been together for our entire 20s. We were very much, I would say we did have an evolutionary partnership, because we catalyzed each other's growth, and we did also work with the medicines together. But when it came to that embodiment, physical, sexual piece, that needed to happen outside of that dynamic for both of us, I think. And so when I met Benjamin, I had basically that relationship completed. And then I was basically celibate for 10 months, really wasn't dating, really wasn't looking for anything, because I wanted to be in my own energy for the first time in 10 years. And also I really wanted to focus on all of the visions that were birthing through me. And I wanted to expand as a leader and as a businesswoman. And hence the focus on finding, you know, a partner, an investor, someone that could really help me make it all happen. And then I was also kind of, you know, as a little bonus, like on my new moon manifestation, it was like, and I'm calling in like a sexual awakening, you know, casual. I thought it was going to be, I did not expect it to come within the context of a committed relationship. I thought it was going to come very much in a phase of exploration and openness and freeness that I had never really had, because when I got into my 10-year relationship, I was not very open and not very empowered. And so I was like, God, I'm going to be single. And I'm like, you know, I'm 33. I'm full of life. I know who I am. I'm going to go taste the rainbow. I'm going to have all these experiences. And then of course, the very next person I meet is this Benjamin Bequer experience here. And he's like, oh, you're the one. I've been waiting for you my whole life. Let's spend the rest of our lives together. And I was like, so there was, you know, it was this incredible, it was like, it was an altered state of consciousness, as falling in love is, right? Like you just from a biological level, everything goes a bit haywire. And we were having these sexual experiences where I'd never been able to tap into that level of surrender before. And if you guys want the juicy, steamy details, you should read our book, because it's all in there. The play-by-play of it all. But yeah, I was like, wow, I'm touching places in this dynamic that I've only touched with plant medicine. And I'm touching them through my body. And so we just really explored and experimented with that. We also integrated psychedelics into the sexual space. And that was like a whole nother layer of possibility. So I would say we definitely, we came together in this powerful way. And then, as Benjamin mentioned, there was also, because it was so intense and because it was so all encompassing and because it was such a, like, this is the kind of relationship that changes the trajectory of your entire life forever kind of energy, it was also really terrifying. And so that's where then the other work came in, of like letting go of the fear and the doubt and the wanting to slow things down and stay safe and protect and put guards up and all of that stuff that also comes, right, when you're on this roller coaster.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if you go a little deeper into how you navigated that, the topic of our conversation, anxiety, how fear paralyzes intimacy. So when it's something so big and the walls came up, how did you navigate that? And as you said, get curious about the conflict.
I mean, it was layers, right? So in the beginning, my fear of commitment was a big trigger for him. So a lot of fear came up for him around, you know, falling in love with someone who's just not ready.
Right.
So maybe you can share a little bit about that. There was layers of it that came over the next probably like 2 years.
Yeah.
Or so.
I think going back to what I said before, you know, we have one of the beautiful things about our relationship is we have this ability to lean into conflict and lean into fear and with curiosity. And so, and incorporate tools, plant medicine and others to help kind of open us up and see, you know, what's there. A lot of times with plant medicine, specifically ayahuasca, sometimes she gives you a reference point of what's possible. And so a lot of times where there's conflict or whatnot would show up, we'd sit in a ceremony and I would feel my heart open and feel the truth of what's underlying. And so, and I think what was interesting about our relationship is the way in which she was able to finally lean into the level of commitment was for me to actually get to a place to do my work, that I became unattached. Right. And so as I surrendered my need to control how she showed up in the relationship and my need for her to do, or my need for a false sense of security of having a lifetime with this person, as soon as I was able to do my internal work of letting that go, like truly letting it go and being like, I don't care if we're together for a day or a lifetime, but I'm in. And as soon as she felt that need for control vanish, then she could step into it fully from a place of real freedom versus feeling like contraction or suffocation or pressure in some way. And so that was my work to do in it. And so when we and I say we show up with curiosity, I showed up to that, triggered, frustrated, confused, bringing up old patterns from old relationships, trying to, bring all this stuff up. But our curiosity for what my part in this is, because we believe everything in a relationship is co-created. And so if we're having this conflict, and it's coming up, and I'm looking at how I'm curious about what my internal work is around this, irrespective of how she's showing up, then you can have like quantum growth. And that's what happened in our relationship. We went through, as you read in the book, what we call a couple of death portals, where we thought our relationship was potentially over. But we have this quote that we love. Azrya has it on her arm. On the other side of death is always truth. And when you allow, what did it take for me to get to that place of complete surrender of this false sense of security, of control? Well, I had to let a part of myself die and go through a real death. It was really, really challenging. We went through twice in our relationship. We went through what we call death portals, where we were like in a place where like, I don't know if this is going to work. But we showed up to that with compassion, with curiosity, and we looked at it. Both of us looked at it. What's our work to do in this, instead of pointing fingers and blaming or saying you should be doing this or I should be doing that. And so I think that's what has driven the speed at which we've been able to grow, not just grow, but like, we're creating a massive platform and doing big things in the world and have a ton of pressure, and we don't fight. And it's not to say we don't have disagreements or difficult conversations, but because of that curiosity and our willingness to when something comes up, look internally instead of point the finger externally.
I friggin' love this. One of the definitions of enlightenment that I've learned is allowance of all and judgment of nothing. And so to be in complete surrendered allowance of what she does or does not do. And what did you say? Let something else steer the ship, like the level of surrender that you can allow this energy, those two together. I mean, I get it. I get how you're able to grow so quickly and lean in with such open hearts and be real and be human. God, is so beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
33 is the year I got pregnant with my son. So it's a good year. It's a good year. Tell me more about what Panchamama has taught you. When I did one of my first journeys with her, I had no idea that I couldn't actually look someone in the eye. I couldn't actually be there and let my communication land and see how it went with them, or let their communication land with me. And she showed me through demon after demon, which was me, how I was insecure or embarrassed or humiliated or all the things about me. And she taught me to go, oh, and I love her too. Oh, and I love her too. And by the end, in my mind's eye, there was a swamp of demons, all me. And my head was in the bucket of puke. And then lastly, I came in as me, not a demon form, but as Allana. And my hands were over. I was still so ashamed of who I was. And I literally, for the first time in my whole life, had the experience, isn't she lovely? Isn't she lovely? And then from that moment on, the next day, I just couldn't wait to, my son was, I think, 3 at the time. I'm just like, hi, mom's here. And everyone, I just wanted to look in their eyes. And now, of course, I call myself an intimacy expert. There's nothing else I'd rather be or do. She's been such a great teacher for me, with all the different journeys for the listeners who may not be as familiar with it. And they can hear the story that I just told. They can hear the stories of how it supported your relationship. It's also intense. Of all the different psychedelics I've done, I know, don't fuck with her. Because I remember the first time I did a journey, I said, well, I want more money and a hot guy. And I said all these things and she just kicked my fucking ass. And the second time I'm like, show me the way. Show me. That's all I said. What would you say to people curious about journeying? Because do you do journeys with your retreats? Is that one of the things you facilitate? Or are you shamans as well?
We are not shamans, no. We selectively will integrate the work when appropriate, but the bulk of what we do is more focused on, taking all the teachings we've received in those journey spaces and translating them into tools and modalities and frameworks that people can use in their everyday lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, are you asking about ayahuasca specifically?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
whatever medicines you'd like. I'm about to get certified in PSI, psychedelic somatic integration. I've gone through that for the last year, and it's
Amazing.
really helped a lot of disassociation for me. So I love it. So,
Yeah.
and that's MDMA and cannabis particularly that I've been using there. So
Yeah.
yeah, whatever medicines that you want to share that really could support people to get curious about.
I think they, all of them have a time and place. For us, ayahuasca has certainly been the greatest teacher, kind of the master plant teacher.
Yeah.
And it is an intense experience. It isn't for the faint of heart. It is something that you have to be willing to go in and take your hands off the steering wheel and not need to know. And that in and of itself, just saying yes to that process is half the battle, right? That's like just getting yourself into that space and saying yes to that unknown. And I think where so much of the transformation and so much of the medicine is and lies dormant. So yeah, I mean, are you looking for an explanation of kind of what it is for those who don't know of kind of how it works and how it's served? And
I'd love to hear that. And then I'd love to hear the greatest gift, if you can think of one of the greatest gifts that she's given you. I mean,
so ayahuasca is really, it's a shamanic tool. It's an indigenous practice that has been used for generations in mostly South America, Peru, Colombia, Brazil. Like this is where that medicine has been served in ceremonial contexts. It's really a medicine that is made up of 3 ingredients most of the time. You have the vine, the leaf, which contains the DMT, and water, and then those 3 ingredients are brewed in for quite a while until it's condensed down into this very thick, viscous kind of tea. And it's served in a space where you're held by either a true shaman, of which I think there's very few actually, or a facilitator, a practitioner, someone who understands how to hold that space in a way that's safe. There's a lot of debate about what a safe space is really, and that's a whole different conversation. But usually it's a group experience, and you go and you receive your cup of medicine and you drink it, and then it can induce a pretty intense psychedelic process, as well as a quite intense physical process, which includes purging, releasing energy, both through vomiting, crying, shaking, twitching, going to the bathroom, all the things. And what it really does at its core is it unlocks stagnant energy in the body and allows you to tap into states of consciousness that are beyond this dimension. I would say that, aspects of yourself that exist in various other dimensions and realities, where you can understand both the nature of reality as well as the nature of yourself, why you are the way you are, seeing kind of the root cause of a lot of things, right? One of the themes of this conversation is anxiety and doubt and fear. And I think that many of us deal with kind of a low level hum of anxiety all the time, or worry. That's just an energy that's very normalized in our culture. I would say ayahuasca and psychedelics give us the shortcut to get to the root of where that's coming from. Like what is really at the core of that. And it's always going to be related to some fear, some deep survival fear, or some blockage of energy somewhere in the body, which usually also came from a moment of fear where the intensity was too much for the nervous system to process, and therefore it got trapped and stuck inside of you. And so the medicine very intelligently finds those pockets and loosens them and brings them up and out, which in the moment can feel like hell or death. But certainly after, always you feel, 100 times lighter. And that's kind of the summary.
Thank you. How did she share about the issues around commitment that came up at the beginning of your relationship? What did she show you?
Yeah, that's a great question. This was actually one of the death portal. One of the main catalysts for our first real death portal was this commitment piece. And I didn't realize it so much at first, but when Benjamin and I met, I was very kind of in the inquiry around having children. I was like, I don't know, I'm not feeling a strong like must have, but I'm also not feeling a no. I'm really open. And Benjamin was like, well, I'm really a hard no, because he has 2 kids already from a previous marriage. One is 17, the other is 21. And he's like, I did that. I'm complete. I got a vasectomy, 16 years ago. And I'm not doing it again. And so that's just important for you to know as we go into this relationship. This was like within a couple of weeks of meeting. And I could feel the part of me that was not in resonance with that, but also I was in love with this person, and I didn't feel like a super strong, no, I absolutely know, and I have to insist on this either. So I kind of said, well, let's be in the trust. We trust that it'll work out. And then as we committed more and got more serious and bought a house and moved in and married ourselves and did all these things that, were tethering us closer and closer together, I was very much with my conscious mind trying to suppress this inconvenient truth. But there was a part of me that the medicine forced me to look at that was really like, no, this is actually not okay for you. And wow. I could literally and viscerally feel actually the spirit of a child wanting to come through the ceremony work, which is actually a beautiful thing, but in that moment terrifying, because to me, it meant the death of our relationship. That no was like a hard no at that time, it was like a non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. And so when I brought it forward, maybe a year and a half in, you can imagine his confusion and frustration at the fact that we had gotten this far, and then now this was an issue. So yeah, there was a deep breakdown in our relationship of not knowing how we're going to move forward. And maybe you want to share your lens, and where we landed.
How did it unfold?
Yeah, I think, again, going back to what we said, on the other side of death is always truth. We both really got to a place where we let the relationship die. And I think the way I like to say it is we loved each other so much that I wasn't going to let her compromise her truth to make me happy. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't going to let me compromise my truth to make her happy. And so compromise wasn't an option. So we either needed to end the relationship or meet each other in a new truth. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where we came from. And then I sat in an ayahuasca ceremony at this time when I thought it was looking like our relationship was going to be over. And the spirit of a child came through. And as we talk about in the book, it was the energy of a baby boy. And so it just became, it went from a hard no to, why on earth wouldn't you? And and it was just a real internal shift. And I think that, as we were sharing earlier about ayahuasca, and I think what it really does, at least for me, is it helps me work in that unconscious realm, right? That domain of everything you didn't know you wanted. And it helps you work in areas that you often can't even comprehend. And so there was blockages in me that I didn't realize were there that had to be released. And once they were released, then it became, because why didn't I want a child? It was just fear and insecurity. Wow. A fear of losing freedom, all these fears were just there. And then the medicine kind of helped me unlock those. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, there's nothing to fear. There's only love. And once I opened to that, I just had a like instantaneous shift. Mm. But we had to get to that place of actually, once again, getting to a place where we were willing, not even willing, we had accepted that the relationship was going to be over. And in that place of freedom, without attachment or control or trying to get the other person to change their perspective, we came and met each other in a new truth.
So fucking beautiful. The amount of unconditional love of yourself and of each other to just obliterate into surrendered love, and then to just stay present to see what's on the other side. Like, wow. I'm amazed. And
I mean, when we summarize it this way, it sounds like we did it with a lot of grace. There certainly.
Oh, it was brutal.
There was not.
It was brutal.
Yeah, there was moments where it was not pretty and not graceful at all.
I went, my friend, Aubrey Marcus, lent me his place in Sedona, and I went out there for like a week by myself. And I was just like,
he was livid,
in fetal position, angry, frustrated. It was, yeah, good point. You know, death portals aren't easy. They're not pretty.
Yeah.
But to really let yourself go there, you have to actually get to a place where you have literally felt the death of the relationship, and on the other side of that is freedom. Yeah. When you fully go there with relationships in business and coworkers and team members, when you get to that place where you've surrendered, then you come to it from an unattached place.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us know there were a lot of ugly cries, and it was really messy. Just the concept of feeling. I don't know about how you grew up, but I was spinning so fast, trying to be safe, trying to look good, trying to get love, trying. I didn't even know I had an inside. And then when I finally discovered I had an inside, I didn't like who I found. I didn't like how it felt. But now, and medicine really helped me to feel.
Yeah.
Now, whenever there's a feeling, like you lean in and be curious, like whenever there's a feeling in me, even the hard, recently has been hard. I'm just coming out of a death, thank God, because it was I've never had suicidal ideations in my entire life, and they were thick and they wouldn't leave, and it was hard. But it was through feeling even that death, and it turns out it was death of different identities that were needing to die in me, but it felt like I don't want to be here. But by staying with it long enough, and I believe a facilitator really helps when you're in those very, very dark places. I don't know if you want to share, if being alone in Sedona, having that vision quest sounds beautiful as well. But for me, having just someone that's not going to fix it, is not going to try to make it better, is not going to change the subject, but literally just says, take me with you. Take me with you. I'm right here. And go to those really dark places. I know you move past them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where it goes next. It could get rage, it could get sorrow, it could get huge, whatever, panic. But if you can even be with that, it'll calm down. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we get to that still point. We get to that place of truth beyond death. So what could you say to people in terms of the capacity to feel when it comes up has led to your retreats, what you teach, and your beautiful relationship?
Yeah. I think we have a friend of ours says this, that every fear is a fear of feeling. And, and so I think that when you really bring that into your awareness, and this work with plant medicines, what does it do? You said it makes you feel. It does. And typically it makes you feel things that your conscious mind doesn't want to allow you to. Totally. Your conscious mind is trying to protect you, suppress, repress all these feelings. And on the other side of feeling things fully is freedom. And so the plant medicines have been really powerful for us in that capacity. And I think that, Jim Dethmer has this quote, "What are you willing to risk for full aliveness?" And what our answer to that question is feeling everything. Yeah. And in order to feel fully alive, you have to, we live in a society that is always pointing towards happiness, but the freedom comes in not being in resistance to all feelings and whatever's coming up. And so in our relationship and outside of the relationship, I think that's a practice. It's not easy to do. It's difficult, but we're constantly in that practice of saying, okay, this is coming up. It doesn't feel good. How can I actually open to this? And when you open to that feeling that you don't want to feel, that's the epitome of becoming unfuckwithable. That's the epitome of freedom.
I love that. Azrya, I want to ask you as well. I just want to quickly share before I forget. I remember the moment my mom was dead. And yes, we'll be out by noon and you can take her organs, like that moment. And just she's not in there. She's not asleep. She's not in there. And the most excruciating pain. And I'm just like, open your heart. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. And then all of a sudden she was everywhere. She was everywhere.
How beautiful.
I got chills.
Yeah. So even the worst of the worst is indeed bliss on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you and feeling?
I mean, I feel like feeling is something that I've always done a lot of. I'm a very empathic human, and as a child, it was very challenging to navigate just how much I felt and how deeply I felt and how sensitive I was to even the subtlest things. And I think I spent many years of my life, I know I spent many years of my life trying to suppress my ability to feel because it was just overwhelming and felt like how am I supposed to be a functional human, you know, in this life with all of the pain and intensity that is just the reality of where we are in this moment. And yeah, so I spent a lot of years trying to kind of numb and suppress and shove away that feeling. And it was through the work, the transformational work, meditation, time in nature, plant medicine, that I started to find my way back to feeling, but through a new lens, seeing it as a superpower, not as this weakness or as this inconvenient part of myself, but something that actually was the vehicle that could teleport me into these places of extreme awareness and bliss, even in the grief, right? Understanding that everything is built in polarity. And so the greatest grief is actually the portal to unlocking the greatest gratitude. I think when I really understood that, and not just intellectually, but viscerally, that really was a big game changer for me, because that was kind of like it was that moment where everything, from that moment forward, there can be no more problem. There can be no more thing that shouldn't be happening. It's all just a new opportunity to feel something that you didn't know you were capable of feeling, and understanding why that's happening, because you trust so deeply that there is a reason, and that reason is there to serve you.
Friggin' adore you. Yes, yes, yes. I remember the moment I gave birth and they put him on my breast and I looked into his eyes for the first time. The bliss was insane, and I just kept feeling it and feeling it. And all of a sudden, fuck, how do you keep this thing alive? I was like covered in fear. So you just, whenever you fear, you never know quite where you're going, but it's a delicious ride of being radically alive. Yeah.
Yes.
For some logistics, and then I'm going to ask a question in completion. Instagram, beQoming with a Q, the YouTube channel, beQoming, the book, beQoming. Is there anything else you'd like to send people to for them to learn more? beQoming.me, your site.
Yeah. beQoming.me is our site. And if you guys are interested in like checking out our programs, you're welcome to go and sign up and get some free tools and get to know us, be part of our ecosystem. We have developed a really robust methodology and curriculum. And so we share that in various formats. But it's everything we talked about here, we have talked a lot about plant medicine, but you know, the programs we run that are digital actually facilitate incredible depth and transformation for people without ever having to go into an altered state of consciousness through plant medicine work. So I think a lot of my life's work has been about reverse engineering what I've learned into tools and methods that people can use on a regular basis, on a daily basis. So breath work is certainly one of those tools, and then various others that we bring and share. And a big part of our mission is community as well, and connecting people, and collaboration, we believe, is the core ingredient of the new paradigm. So a lot of what we focus on is bringing people together. Yeah.
I love it. Good. And where in Mexico is the retreat center being built? Or
it's about an hour south of Zihuatanejo.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And so the last request I have is if you would just finish the sentence as you look at each other. I appreciate you because, and address each other, and we will complete with a really lovely, intimate moment.
I appreciate you because the way you love.
I appreciate you because of how badass you are.
Oh, beautiful. And so am I remembering or hearing correctly that a little boy is going to arrive at some point?
If we have time in our calendar for it.
Yeah, if he wants to. I think I also, we talked earlier about, releasing attachment. I think that where we're at is that we've created, I had my vasectomy reversed about a year ago. And we've created the opportunity for that to happen, and but also from a place of detachment. And so I think that it feels like that spirit wants to come through in this life. But I think we're also not like attached to it.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, motherhood didn't turn out the way I thought. It was a custody battle since he was 1 for 13 years.
Wow.
And then I relinquished physical and legal custody to stop the fighting. And I still haven't heard from him for 3 years. So
Wow.
taking the high road, trusting, it was his choice. He said, Mom, this is what it's going to take to stop the battle. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. And so it's been hard that, it's interesting. We're pre-recording this on like a new moon and an eclipse and all the energy and the death and rebirth, and Mother's Day is coming up. And I give myself permission to feel. The first couple of years, I just said, oh, it's fine, and did something else on Mother's Day. And last Mother's Day, I went into the closet with actually a bottle of Prosecco and a candle and Kleenex. And I just looked myself in the eye. And I just said, you're so brave. You're so brave. And I just felt and drank and cried. And so some days are better than others. So yeah, we never know with anything in life if we can be as unattached and still live with our hearts splayed wide open. So I'm very, very inspired by your journey. Really wonderful to see you. Next time I'm in LA, I would love to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Assistant student, master coach, and a wobbly hot mess. I'm it all. So I always love to. Thank you so much. And so for all of you watching, please go to their site, get their book, learn more about them. But I'm sure this conversation has sparked something, if not many, many things. So don't just go off and do something else. Please slow down and give yourself 5 minutes to really allow what's awakened from this conversation to take an action. Maybe it's go for a walk in nature. Maybe it's meditate. Maybe it's get your journal out. But allow this conversation to change the trajectory of your life forever, because 1 degree, you're going to end up someplace totally new. So thank you, both of you, for being with us today. And I love you all. Thank you for the blessing of being able to love the shit out of you. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. So this is me and my hot tub and my magic mind. And this bush right there has like so many lilacs on them. I think I'm gonna cut some and bring them inside. I'm stunned that the interview with B and Azria, when I pre-recorded it and now when it's actually coming out, this is going to be my last evening to have a hot tub. I'm moving. And this hot tub has been, it makes me like cry. Like it's been that warm, soothing, cocooning energy. This place I've been renting doesn't have a tub. And as I went through like quite the winter, like it'd never been a negative 32 Fahrenheit in my life. I'm Canadian. I should have gone through that already, right? Nope, super cold. God, this is so soothing. Just for those of you who always hear me talk about this, I asked the company, can I please offer it to you at a substantial discount? So in the show notes, have a look, because I've got you 50% off with the subscription and 20% off with a one-time purchase. I think, and I'm moving and I need so much energy to move, emotional calmness to move, all of those things. And this really helps chill me out and give me that power, not that spiky caffeine-y power, but like that all day long kind of yummy, sustainable power. So just so you know about that. Back to B and Azria and back to the hot tub. Why it's so profound that the interviews coming out now is they were so authentic with the death portals that they went through with their relationship. And their theme of like becoming. And when we think about becoming our best self, it's not like tra-la-la, love and light, it's all going to be so fun and easy. No, we're going to meet anything in the way of us knowing who we are. Anywhere we're in control is a stop sign to God and the divine. Anywhere that our ego is trying to push and make it happen, or our brain is trying to figure it out, we're like in the way of the divine in, as, and through us, having its way with us to experience life like only we can, our own unique, as Mark Gaffney said, self-symphony, right? Dr. Barbara Marx Hubbard. And so what an incredible experience for me to witness a couple that is so aligned, but so willing to set each other free twice because they loved each other so much. Truth was supreme. Truth was the only way they were going to go. And they were willing to sit in darkness. They were willing to feel discomfort and drop deeper and deeper into truth. And they kept coming back to one another. That bravery and courage to do so, and that example in their life that they've become their best selves, and the universe wants them to dance together more, really supports my faith, my brave surrender, my trust in myself, and my trust that the universe has my back. So I will be celebrating them tonight as I have my last hot tub. The electrician comes tomorrow morning to unhook it, and then I shall be selling it to some other people in town here who will enjoy it this fall and this winter. And so I encourage you, a couple things. I encourage you to go to the show notes, the sites for beQoming. Sign up for something. Certainly get their book to start off with and see if any of their courses resonate with you. To me, it's very important to be with people who walk the talk, not just talk it. Anybody can talk it, but they're walking it, which to me gives the greatest integrity to people. Yeah, they're delicious. So number one, do that. Number two, if you are interested in this support with this drink that I found, Magic Mind, to give you clarity and focus and energy in a way that's so aligned with your body, do so. 3, if you want to buy my hot tub, kidding. I think I already got a buyer. 4, be willing to let die what is ready to leave, not as an ending like suicidal death, like poor me victim, not like that kind of death. Like, I'm willing to let die what no longer lifts me, fuels me, serves me, expands me, helps me become me. And then simultaneously be on the lookout, sense what wants to arise. Let your focus move over into what is being birthed, what is being awakened. I can never say that verb right. Which one is it? Alive in me. Focus over to nourish the birth of a capacity in you, of a new situation in life. Let yourself transcend. Let yourself evolve. Let yourself go through that death portal like B and Azrya were talking about. And let yourself be reborn. I needed to hear my own words today. So thank you, B and Azrya, for the blessing that you are, and thank you that the universe brought you to me, brought them to me, brought me to you. We get to dance together. Oh, it's so good. I think I'm going to cut some of those lilacs over there, put them in a vase. So even though this last week before I'm moving doesn't need to be all ugly in boxes, it can still be beautiful. Lilacs remind me of the bush right outside the window of the living room when we first moved into our first house when I was a little girl, 2 years old. I still remember running across the living room. I have no idea how I have that memory at 2. Maybe I was 2.5. Doesn't matter. And there was a little window open, and I looked into the backyard. And there's this huge lilac tree, and I was like, oh, this is the house for us. Oh, life is so magical. I gotta remember the magical moments. They're there all the time. You just have to look, remember, and feel, and let them move me and open me wide. So same for you. Same for you. And lastly, if you're looking for an incredible community where we all grow and evolve vulnerably, bravely, dorky, sexy, authentic, connect with me, because our coaching community, private calls, group calls, intimacy retreats, all the things are nothing short of epic. So I welcome you if this is what resonates with you. Intimacy Breakthrough Experience Call. Register for yours now with me. I love you.